Well, hello and welcome to the Money Decision Show. I'm super excited because today I have a special guest. As you guys know, over the last few weeks, I have been posting about money tips and hacks for traveling. And I met this particular woman at the Educated and Broke. It was Educated and Broke, and it was done by an organization called Women on the Rise Orlando. And it was a fantastic event. It was done in 2018, at the end of 2018. And when I heard her speak, I was like, oh my gosh, I really have to get her and talk to her because she has some really cool tips that are more, they're just real life examples of what I was talking about and to another level. So I'm looking forward to hearing, and I think you will enjoy what she has to say. Her name is Antoinette Munroe, and I'm going to let her start off and just really introduce herself, and then I'm going to just be asking her some questions. And of course, please leave some comments in the chat box below, because I would love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, and your feedback. So Antoinette, why don't we get started? Let us know a little bit more about yourself.
Introductions are always the hardest part. Yes. I'm Antoinette. And I am originally from Miami, but currently living in Orlando. I'm a proud graduate of FAMU, if you see my rattler on my shirt. I've been cheap for a very long time, so it was a natural progression
Yes.
to get to this point and figure out how to travel for free or super discounted. So
I love that.
Long story short.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into a little bit more about that. And I really enjoy that because one of the things I noticed about helping people with their financial planning is it's very hard for me to try to tell them not to travel. Don't take that trip, because people want to. They're going to want to have that fun. They're going to want to be able to do things now. They don't want to wait till they're 70. They want to do it now. And it's also obviously the fear of missing out. And when it's in their ability to do it, why not take the time to create some memories that they can create right now while they're saving, while they're investing, and while they're doing all these wonderful things. So when I heard you talk, I was just like, wow. So I'm going to start off with this particular question. Now, where did you get the inspiration to start finding travel discounts? Why do you travel the way you do? I mean, what is the background behind that?
You would make me tell this story. So I, at the ripe old age of 27, stumbled upon a sweet young tenderoni. I started dating a younger man. He was about 7 years younger than me, still in college. Oh my goodness. Nobody needs to know this, but you must. And so I didn't want to be a sugar mama like all the way, right? I understood that there was a gap between where I was in my life and where he was in his. But I still wanted to travel. I finally have a partner to travel with, but we were in different kind of financial positions. So I had to find a way to still travel, but not feel like I was paying for a man's travel. So I started looking into points, rewards, and things like that so that I could cover the portion of his trip with points and just pay for myself with cash. That way we could still take our trips even though we were in different financial positions.
Gotcha. Very interesting. So tell us more about covering trips with points.
Okay.
How does that work? What does that entail? And I'm also, and I remember you making this disclaimer too, but I'm also going to make it too, as a financial planner, we're paying off these credit cards right away. We're not creating more debt. And I believe that's what you had stated as well. But tell me more about how you were able to create points and how that works.
Yep. So the disclaimer again, if you do not pay your credit card balances off in full every month, please stop listening. This is not for you. You cannot participate.
Correct.
For those of us that are responsible, credit card points are kind of the fastest way to rack up enough points to take a trip. You can earn points through frequent flyer rewards programs, but it takes time, right? You earn as you travel, where credit cards generally offer sign-on bonuses in large quantities, anywhere from, 30% to $150,000 points just to sign up for that credit card. They'll usually have a limit where if you spend $2,000, $3,000 to $5,000 in the first 3 months, then you get that sign-on bonus. So that's going to be the biggest hit that you'll get at once. And then all of the other points would just be from continued use of that card and either focusing on one card, or if you're going the rewards program route, focusing on one brand so that you stockpile your points.
Great. Now, are you doing both? Are you stockpiling your points on the rewards credit card as well as getting those points for your frequent travel, frequent flyer miles?
Yes. So when I initially started, I traveled a little bit for work, not a lot, but at least, 5 times a year. So I would only stay at Marriott properties so that I would earn rewards for that point. And at that time, my primary card was the Marriott rewards card. So I'd never spend $1 cash. My debit card never sees the light of day. Every single dollar I spent, I don't care if it's 50 cents, it went on that Marriott rewards card. So all I was doing with every dollar I spent, with every work trip, I was earning Marriott rewards points.
That is awesome. And as we stated, you've got to be paying this off right away.
Yes.
Now, how do you manage that? Because, I can totally see people who might start off that way and their intentions are, I'm not going to get in debt. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to be paying this off. How do you do that? How do you make sure that your balances are not carrying over? Because I could easily see that people could, like you said, if you're not disciplined, don't stop listening. But for those who might get caught up, like, what do you do to keep from getting caught up?
Well, before I ever got into the points game, I was already very strict with my finances. So I think I started points hacking in like 2014. But in 2009, I had started a spreadsheet and a budget that I had been following since 2009. So with every change in my paycheck, any goal I wanted to achieve, I had a spreadsheet where I was tracking my spending and finances. So I was already very strict financially. So coming into this kind of opportunity, it was a really easy fit. I already didn't keep balances on my credit card. I already didn't overspend. So it was much easier to say, okay, well, I want to make my debt or my credit work for me now, versus because I didn't have to be cautious because I already was.
So those activities, those habits were already in full force. So you guys hear that? Make sure that it's in full force before you do that. That's fantastic. Now, how long did it take before you were able to actually make this work, where you saw the rewards? Because it's going to be some time, right, to accumulate these points before you can actually use them to see the benefits. So the first trip, like, describe a trip that you took, how much you paid, how many, if you can remember the points, but like, I'm sure you'll remember how much you paid for it, but describe like one of your favorite trips.
Okay. Well, it doesn't take long, right? Like, you can have enough points for a trip in one credit card sign-on. So with the Marriott card I started with, the sign-on bonus was 80,000 points.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of points.
And let's say I had already had a little bit from traveling for work, so that might have been the slowest game. But the second time around, when I did Marriott, the sign-on bonus was 100,000 points. And 140,000 points is a 5-night stay somewhere, right? So just a sign-on bonus alone gets you to a free trip.
Wow.
And then all the spending you do, yeah. So I'll say with a really high sign-on bonus and about 6 months of spending, depending on how much you spend and funneling, you're ready to go. Really, the sign-on bonus alone puts you on a trip. The time frame that you give it adds days to the trip, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So I would say about 6 months to a year is a good time to start planning out for a trip. When you start getting advanced and you're doing more than one card at a time, definitely 6 months is more than enough. So 6 months to a year would be for somebody starting a good time frame to shoot.
Okay, great. No, that sounds wonderful. So tell us about a trip that you took.
Oh, yes, you did say that. So let's see, the easiest trip in terms of points. So we took a trip to Hawaii, and that probably was the second big redemption that we did. So we found a new hotel opening up in Hawaii, and for a 5-night stay, the points required was 160,000 points. And so with Marriott, if you stay 4 nights, you get the 5th night free. So anytime I'm doing a points redemption, I always make sure I'm doing 5 nights because that's going to be the most value for the points. Anything 3 or over, if you're looking at 3, you need to do 5. If you're just going to do 1 or 2 nights, it's okay. Mm-hmm. So we did 5 nights in Hawaii for 165,000 points. I did a sign-on bonus for 100,000, and then the 60,000 points were about a year's worth of work travel. And if I can break that out per stay, that's like 6 2 or 3 night stays, okay, or kind of 12 single night stays. So it's not much, and it also depends on the level of property. So points calculating gets really, really deep. So we wouldn't be able to get into that now, but just the credit card bonus took me to the 100, and then I had to accumulate 60 from spending and stays.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So Hawaii, that's awesome.
Hawaii, Maui, it included breakfast. So my 5 nights free in Maui with breakfast included at a brand new property. So
wow,
you can't beat it.
You can't beat that. Now, what about plane flight there?
So for the flight, we paid for that. So what we did was use Southwest points to get from Florida to LA. So that we weren't paying for that portion. And then, of course, from LA to Hawaii, flights are much cheaper. So it was like $500 a pop to get from LA to Hawaii. Yeah, so I do a combination of points and cash. Yeah.
Okay, points and cash. That's not bad. Did you put that on the Marriott card?
No, I put that on the Southwest card because I was flying Southwest.
There you go. You got some more points. So that's great. Exactly. So one of the things that, for me, I just always stayed away from it was for the simple fact that there was this annual fee. So tell me more about the annual fee. How does that work? And how does that work for you?
So every card has an annual fee. The starter cards, it's usually around $69, $59 at most. Okay. But your sign-on bonus is going to be 50 to 100,000 points. So Southwest, for example, their annual fee on their lowest tier card is $59 or $69, and the sign-on bonus is 40,000 points. You can book a round-trip flight on Southwest to and from certain locations for less than 10,000 points. So in that 40, that's 4 round-trip flights that you can book, depending on the departure and arrival. That more than takes care of the $69 annual fee.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a wash.
So it justifies it. Exactly.
Right.
For 5 nights at no cost at a hotel. I mean, most hotels, we can easily say at least 150, 200, so you're per night. So you can easily cover that. Now, Marriott, you chose Marriott. I'm sure there's other hotel reward point programs. What made you choose Marriott?
Well, Marriott was the partner hotel that my company used, so all of our work travel would be at a Marriott property. So it was just easy to start there because that's where I was going to be generating points to begin with. So that's really it. Didn't have anything to do with anything else, but I was going to be there anyway. So
exactly.
Funnel the points.
That makes sense. I love that concept. One of the pointers that I gave in that traveling financially guilt-free was, when you take your business trips, make sure that you can see if you can tag a few days on for personal, if the company allows you. So, I mean, that definitely, outside of even just traveling for business, you could probably incorporate, if it's a good location, you can incorporate some of your personal travel in there too, depending on the company and how they allow that. So
yeah, we do that all the time, and it doesn't even matter. Let's say the location of the meeting is not in a place we want to be, but it's closer to somewhere. So for example, in March, we had a team meeting in San Diego. But then my sister was going to be in Denver the weekend after the meeting. So the company flew me to San Diego. But then I requested that my return flight come from Denver. So all I had to do was use my Southwest points to get between San Diego and Denver. And that was like 5,000 points because it was a short flight.
Wow.
So.
I love it. I love it. So you guys see what you can do. You can really utilize these ideas. Now, I'm really curious, what other websites do you use to find your travel deals, if any?
Hmm.
Um, there was one that I remember you mentioning, so I'm gonna let you mention it. If you don't mention it, I'll have you bring it
Okay.
up. But what other recommendations do you have for websites and ways that you're finding your travel deals?
So I am still very old school and I use Facebook as my only means of social media. So most of the travel sites, I'm following them on Facebook. So I follow the points guy. He's more for like higher end, advanced level travelers, but it's still good information.
It's
I
called The Points
follow the points guy.
Guy. Okay.
So his website and Facebook group, there's a wealth of information about points hacking in general.
Mm-hmm.
I follow Travel Pirates for flight deals. So these are all the flight deal sites. Travel
Okay.
Pirates, the flight deal.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Secret Flying and Airfare Spot.
And now,
So
are these Facebook groups or are these websites?
yeah, they're Facebook pages that I follow.
Okay.
And so that's where I usually find my flight deals. There is also a subscription service available called Scott's Cheap Flights, and that's by email. So when you sign up for that, they'll email you flights or flight deals that pop up. They have a free version and a paid version as well.
Oh, wow.
Um, and then there's also a travel group I'm a part of called No Madness Travel Tribe. Ton of young professionals. They have been all over the world, and it's a huge wealth of information within the group. And sometimes they are posting deals as well. So I might have missed a post from something that I'm following, and it'll get reposted in the group. And most of the time, that's where I see it.
Wow, this is some serious stuff here.
We're
So,
just scratching the surface.
yeah, I believe it. I believe it. So, so Facebook groups, you look at websites. I mean, I didn't even know about these. This is awesome. Now, are you familiar? And I'm not even sure if it even is the same thing, but Black Travel Movement is a Facebook group.
I am not a part of that group.
Okay, okay.
I think I might have heard of it. Like there are a million groups out there, but I have targeted the ones that have given me the most bang for my buck, where it's like um, the information is key, the
Yes,
files you have access to, and the quality of that information versus just talking to other people about travel.
yeah.
It's more focused on how to make the travel happen.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I believe that Black Travel Movement is more just showing pictures of the trip that you took.
I
Um,
don't want to see where you went. I'm trying to go somewhere.
exactly, exactly. No, I love that. So, so you guys basically support each other. You help each other. Help each other find good deals, and
Right.
figure
Hmm.
out strategies for making these trips happen. So one of the stories that you told that I thought was really neat was when you went, and I'm gonna mix it up probably, but you went to Fiji or Bora Bora. You went to that area
Hmm.
and you did something called couch surfing. And could you share a little bit about that? Just how much you paid, how it all worked out? What does it all mean? I mean, that's amazing because Bora Bora is one of those places that I've always wanted to go to. And when I heard what you paid for it, I was like, oh my goodness. So, yes, please elaborate on that.
So, yes, that was my, I don't know why I took this trip, right? But a flight deal popped up for Bora Bora for $671 round trip. The catch, though, was that the flight deal was from San Francisco to Tahiti. But no biggie, right? I've done my points game. I have like 100,000 Southwest points on hand. We also had earned enough points the year prior to have earned the Southwest Companion Pass. So it's like buy one get one free flight deal, whether it's cash or points. So I bought a plane ticket with points on Southwest, and then I was able to add Josh as my companion so that he flew for free. So we got ourselves from Orlando to San Francisco on points, probably like 20,000 points at the most, two
That's
people.
not bad at all.
And then from San Francisco, we took the deal for $671 out to Tahiti.
Was that
Now,
671 per person, or that was all?
yes.
Okay.
So 671 per person, where Tahiti is normally in the thousands or 1,000 or something somewhere. So, and the reason that was a discount, and I watched for these too, it was a new route opening up for an airline. So often when airlines start a new route, the first day or that first week, it's going to be the cheapest it's ever been. Or if a new airline comes into an area, they'll run flight deals. So that's what happened. There was a new airline called French Bee that was starting in San Francisco, and that's the deal we took. And I bought it, and then I tried to cancel it, and I thought it was like a scam. I didn't even think it was a real airline because I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah.
But luckily, when we arrived at the airport, it was real. So there was some hesitation there.
Yeah.
We were just supposed to do like the main island of Tahiti for the week with no intention of going to Bora Bora. But a friend of mine who's been all over the world, she said, if you go that far, you have to go to Bora Bora. You can't skip it.
Gotcha.
And for those small islands, the inter island flights are usually really expensive. So it was going to be $400 each just to do the inter island flight. And I was like, well, and the hotels on Bora Bora are ridiculously expensive. So I was like, well, I don't want to pay.
Yeah.
So what could I come up with? And I started looking into things like, of course, there's this website called Couchsurfing where people will let you come and stay at their house for free. But you also list your property there so that you can return the favor to other people. So it's like a share situation. But then they have these volunteer activities where you can, and I forget the name of this site. I'll have to look it up and send it to you. But there was one that I looked at where you could exchange your time for a place to stay and say that you'll volunteer with somebody for 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is that day in exchange for room and board.
Wow.
So we ultimately went with Couchsurfing, and there was a lovely French young lady staying there, and she had like a separate in-law suite, private bedroom and bathroom that was detached from the main home. And that's where we stayed for no dollars. She just wanted to practice English with someone. And so that's why she got surfed. Yeah. She liked meeting people and wanted to practice English.
So you guys spent some time with her while you were there.
We spent every day with her, right? So it wasn't a vacation anymore. I think when you choose to do couch surfing at that point, it becomes more of a cultural immersion or an exchange with that person where you're building more of a friendship versus just checking in into your room and never talking to them. So she would take us around. We hung out with her friends. We ate breakfast and dinner with her, before and after she came from work. So we were with her every day.
Wow,
But,
that's amazing.
Yeah, we got to see a part of Bora Bora that tourists don't see. So we went to a practice one night. Her friends, they were practicing like a hula, or I'm not sure what the dance style was called. So we got to go out with her and watch them do that. She had a friend that was moving away, and they were having a dinner for her. So we got to tag along and go to that dinner. She worked at a hotel there, so we got to go to work with her one night and watch the luau that the hotel had for guests that the guests paid, $100 for, and we got to go for free. Yeah.
But that wasn't a part of the plan. It was just because you had stayed with her. But
yeah,
so you didn't plan that. But that is amazing.
I didn't have a plan. The most I came up with was, okay, we're going to stay here. And everything after that was wing it, right?
Wow.
But I'll say that the main island where the people live is a lot different than the postcard that you see. And so by about the third night, I was just like, I'm not getting the Bora Bora experience. Where's the fantasy? Gotcha. And so I looked around at hotels there, and there was a Hilton property. And of course, I have a stash of Hilton points because you got to stay ready.
Yes.
So we booked a room at the Hilton, and it was the most beautiful hotel I'd ever seen. So for 60,000 points, I arrived on a boat because it's on its own island. So the only way you can get to the hotel is via boat. And I was speechless as we pulled up. So everything that's on the postcard, crystal clear water with the fish swimming up to you, the bungalows, all of that. I finally found it, right, at this hotel that I didn't pay anything for. So the room that we were in, and we got upgraded, That room was probably an $800 a night room that we didn't pay
Wow.
anything for. And it came with breakfast, like the most amazing breakfast buffet in heaven, basically.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. So how many days did you stay there?
So we only did one night at that hotel because the next morning we went to another island for about 3 nights, of course, in a Marriott property on points. So yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. So when you did the couch surf, did you tell her how many days you were going to stay, or did you leave it flexible until you found that Hilton hotel, that Hilton property?
So for couch surfing, you tell them exactly how many days you're trying to stay,
Okay.
and they tell you if it's available. So the intent was to stay with her. I didn't know that I would be missing out on, a key part of the Bora Bora experience by doing that. And so we had one night left, and I was like, okay, we can't leave this island without seeing the fantasy. So let's at least squeeze that in before we go. So
Yes.
it wasn't planned, but none of it was planned really.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really about being flexible too. I mean,
Hmm.
you definitely have that flexibility, it sounds like. And I'm one of those people that I like to go with I like to have some structure, but not so much a strict agenda. So it sounds like you have to do that when you're doing these types of activities or this type of deals. Would that be
Yes.
correct?
Flexibility is key, right? We go where the deal takes us.
Yeah.
I don't have like a list of I want to go here or I must go to this, and so we're going to do this place this month and this place that month. I have a general idea of places I would like to go and places I absolutely don't want to go. However, if a deal pops up and the price is right and I don't hate it and I have the time, we're out, right? So I don't put vacation weeks in ahead of time. It's just we follow the deals, and if something good pops up, we jump on it. So
That's
flexibility really is the key.
Yes, it sounds like it, but having that flexibility can equate to free or hardly paying anything. So I think it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah. If I had a target, I must go to Paris on this day, then you must pay the price of that day.
That makes
However, if I was like, I want to go to Paris and I'm good with when, and I happen to see a flight deal that pops up for $300 in April, okay, I can make that happen.
I do that. Yeah, no, but that is a great point. You have to have some flexibility in your schedule. So, and I did mention that in the tips too, but I mean, to see somebody who's actually living this, it's amazing. It's amazing. Now, what about Airbnb? I mean, does that ever equate into what you do or any types of services like those? Has that helped you with your
Mhm.
traveling? Like, what are your thoughts there?
So for me, when I travel, I'm mostly using a chain hotel, and that's because I travel for work and I'm able to earn the points that way and use the points for the credit card. And so I stick with that. And it also helps when you're going to international countries like China or somewhere where there's language barriers or something different. You have this American base where everyone in the building will speak English, and that can be your starting point, your starting end point to be able to navigate a country where you don't speak the language. So I prefer to stay in an American chain hotel,
Okay.
and that's where the bulk of my points are. If I were to do Airbnb, I would be paying, and my objective is to go for free. However, Airbnb is a great low-cost option when you don't have points or can't accumulate them fast enough. Airbnb has great options. You can rent a room out of somebody's house, or you can rent the entire place, and depending on what country, it could be really cheap. And I'm actually an Airbnb host, and I think I've only used Airbnb twice in my personal travel, but I've been an Airbnb host for 2 years, like having guests come to my house. So
Wow, that's amazing. You are constantly moving and shaking, it sounds like. So good.
yes, yes. So I guess Airbnb is great because if you're Airbnb a room in your house, that's discretionary income that you can now use to pay for these trips.
That's
So
right. That's right. After you paid and filled up your Roth, right? So your Roth IRA. But no, but definitely for the topic that we're talking about, you can definitely use it for some discretionary income. That's awesome. Now, I just really appreciate what you've talked about. The last area that I wanted to kind of touch on was what about safety? Are you ever feeling like when you're doing the last minute, and you even talked about like you weren't sure if the flight or that airline was real or not or legitimate? So I'm just curious, how do you stay safe? How do you make sure everything's legitimate? What's the due diligence that you're doing to make sure that this is all, going to work out and it's legit?
Okay, so once I see a flight deal and I check out the times and it's going to work, I probably do just a quick Google of the airline. Is it good or bad? I'll resort to my travel group. They know everything. They've been everywhere. And I'll put out a question. Hey, has anybody been here or seen this? Or I'll search through the files and just do a quick search for the city. And within 15 minutes, I'm able to get a clear, yes, this sucks. No, this is, no, this will be good.
Right.
And then I book. And I book because I have 24 hours to cancel. So I take a quick 15-minute just check, and if there's nothing, glaring, then I go ahead and book it. And then I have 24 hours of kind of nonstop Googling everything. I'm on Travel Advisor, Viator, checking everything I can to see how I have to put this together. What will I do there? Before my time runs out to cancel. So there's tons of due diligence, right? Tons of research in a very short amount of time. But after a quick 15-minute search, I go ahead and secure the ticket. Okay. And then the clock starts, and I have to know everything I can possibly know about it before my 24 hours is up, so I can walk away if I want. But so far, Bora Bora was the only trip I tried to cancel. And I couldn't, so.
And it worked out. Out. So yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, I'm just amazed. And you said we only touched the surface. So now I'm all curious. I want to go to these sites. I appreciate you sharing how you've been able to make this work, because you hear about it, but to really meet somebody in person that's been doing it and it's been working and they're taking these fabulous trips. I know that you're mostly on Facebook, but wow, we would love to follow you on Instagram if you ever did that.
If I ever get an Instagram, yeah.
If you ever get one, we would be following you for real, with your pictures. But definitely appreciate it with everyone. I appreciate you tuning in, because as I said, with the Money Decision Show, with every life decision, there's going to be a money decision, and travel is definitely a life decision, so definitely, make sure that you do what you have to do, your due diligence, plan, strategize. I mean, this points is a huge strategy, and do your research. So thanks again, Antoinette. I really appreciate it. And watch the replay.
All right. Thank you.